Hello, everybody. Rick DiClemente with Astrology Unplugged. This week we'll be talking about astrology, related items, and next week, November 1st, we just lost one of our guests because of scheduling problems, but we will be visited by a guest, Melody Winery, Alicia Franzek, who's from Pittsburgh, and Linda Platt, a professor from Pittsburgh, and we will be talking about Eris and her parallel to the rise of the feminine. I've been speaking with the people at Dark Star Astrology, and she has allowed me to publish some of her wonderful articles on Facebook, and they're out there now. She's deeply, deeply into mythology, so she talks a lot about Ceres and a lot about Pluto and a lot especially about Eris. Eris is kicking butt. So that's what's next week. And then the following week, I want to talk about something I'm going to bring up now because it just happened, which is how to read your planets. But tonight's mainly about it's about the sun signs. And you can expect the sun sign to do this, but not do that. So let me turn let me do the mute button here. Okay. All right, there we go. And welcome to all you YouTubers. If you ever want to join us on Thursday night, just go to Google and type in Astrology Unplugged, 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, to get the link to join us live. If not, the recordings are always up the following day on Friday on YouTube on my channel. Tonight is episode number 103. Tonight we're going to be talking about what a sign can do, what it can do, and it can't do what it can't do. And it's very important, and it sounds real glib, but it's not. But first I want to mention something to you. Erica's in the background. She has her camera turned off. She's not been feeling very well. She and I have been having a discussion the last 30 minutes before she went on, and she's a Taurus. And she was talking about this, and she was talking about some vertigo, and talking about dizziness, and et cetera, et cetera. And you've all heard about these treatments when you have a little vertigo, and the chiropractor lays you down and gets you to move the sediments in your ear, it moves it around the coil of your ear, and then it sets you right. And I've been through that, and it seems miraculous, and it's totally sensible. But I looked at her chart, and she's got Saturn at 4 degrees cardinal. Saturn at 4 degrees Capricorn. Her Venus is at 4 degrees of Aries. Bingo! This is why you have to know the signs that are at right angle to each other. You have to know the cardinal signs, like that in your mind. Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn. Because any planet hitting at 4 degrees is going to hit any one of the four at 4 degrees. That's why you have to know Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius. You have to know this. This is very simple to do, because once I explained to her, it wasn't all these other things in her chart she was mentioning. It was Saturn squaring her Venus. Okay. Then she said, well, when Saturn is done with my Venus, then I'm going to have Venus over my Saturn. You got to understand how fast these planets move. Saturn has been sitting at 3 degrees for months. Venus is going to come across in a couple days and be gone. Venus every 90 days goes around the sun. So a Venus transit is like a temporary mood for a couple hours. A Saturn transit can last for months. So the whole point of it is I'm trying to get her to understand, and I was talking to someone else online, oh, this Pluto's on me, and when's Pluto going to leave? Well, it's not the idea when it's going to leave. The idea is, what is it doing? What is it doing? And you even hear me talking like this. What is it doing? There is no it. It's your Pluto time to do what it's doing. So this example, Saturn is hitting at a right angle to Erica's Venus. is a big deal because she's a Taurus, and that's her ruling planet. So it's more important than other people. When you're ruling planet, just picture your rulers picked out of the crowd, taken into a side room to talk to the cops for a couple of days. You know something's up. What does your Saturn do? Saturn is like an inspector that comes around and says, oh, guys, you guys are goofing around long enough. Let me take a look at what's really happening here, and let's fix anything to my liking. It's not some guy out there that comes along to spank you in the butt. That's what's so human about this post-Jesus Christ time period. We keep thinking God's going to come down and kick our butt. So I got to understand, what is Saturn doing to Venus? You can't understand what the transit's like until you understand what is Venus. So what is the Venus in your natal chart? Her Venus is in Aries. Venus is your receptive yin part of you that allows love into your heart, allows people into your heart. And her Venus is in Aries, which is quite a difference, and it's a dichotomy from the true Taurian nature. Venus in Aries is, oh, let them in. Ooh, let them in. Ooh, let them in. Because that's how Aries is. Ooh, let them in. Well, Taurus doesn't really like that. Taurus is more, well, let's check them out for a while. Let's see what's going on there. Let's think about this. So the Venus is at odds with her very nature. So what do you think Saturn's going to say when Saturn comes by? And then she'll say to you, oh, by the way, I'm doing these things. But these things that, oh, by the way, I'm doing are in direct relationship to what the planets are doing, because you are the planets. For example, we all know how, look at the White House, for example. We all know how easy it is to get into something and how hard it is to get rid of somebody. Just like when you have an open Venus, you let people into your heart, you let them into your life, but it's much harder to get them out. So the Venus part of you is the opposite of your Mars part. The Venus lets people in, the Mars goes charging in. I just want to come in, don't stop me. Venus, we let you in, we're very pleasant, cup of tea, have a nice seat, would you like some music? It's very pleasant. It's like a mini moon. So we let people in. So a long time ago, 28 years ago, Saturn was on her Venus, 28 years ago. And it checks in about every 7 years, 14 years, 21 years, 28 years. So Saturn is back. And Saturn is sitting at 4 degrees. And what do you think Saturn is saying to her Venus? My, there are an awful lot of people in here. How did you let these people in? Is it okay? And I start talking to her about it. And so once she realized, oh, I'm here to take care of everybody. I'm here to take care of everybody. Well, she got Neptune rising. Is that true? Well, I don't know. It's just always been that way. Is that true? Well, I don't know. It's always been that way. Is that true? Are you here to take care of everybody? Or maybe you get so many people in there that you end up with a pain in the neck, which is what she's got. She's got a pain in the neck. But she's on autopilot. Let them in, let them in, let them in. And it all comes down to one thing, always. All these problems come down to one thing. Fear of being ostracized. Fear of being abandoned. Once you lose that fear of being abandoned, you act a lot differently. So it's a time for her, not to say she's right or wrong, but it's a time for her to inspect her tendency to just let somebody in without thinking. And while Saturn's there, she'll feel like fixing it. Remember, Saturn makes sure. She'll feel like making sure that this Saturn operates better. Because once Saturn leaves, she won't feel like fixing or altering it. So that shows you how the planets are working for you. They're just symbolic of what you're doing anyway. And when Saturn leaves, she might say, well, I'm not sure I want any people over tonight. And be a little more respectful towards yourself. So the week of November 8th, well, that's going to be right after the election. Oh, my God. Tentatively, we're going to talk about how these planets represent you and what you want and what you're trying to curb and how you feel. And these planets are symbolic. It's so funny because people think that they're making decisions and then they hear astrologically what's happening and then they're shocked that these two could possibly align, but they're exactly the same. And it's understandable. So it's time for Erica to Saturnize her Venus. Now, if she's doing okay, there's not much trouble there, the Saturn might go by, nothing happens. But if the Venus is too open and if it's too instinctive, if it's too reactionary like Venus in Aries is, then there's trouble. Did you raise your hand? Karen, did you raise your hand? Okay, I just thought maybe you were reaching for something. Anyhow, okay, tonight is about the 12 signs, and I want you to, it's very instinctive, that's right. Okay, I want you to follow me, and this is actually the final chapter of that book, The Exquisite Zodiac. It was the final chapter, it's all done. We did a lot of combing over it, fixed it up nice and pretty, and I pulled it out the last minute. I felt that it didn't belong in the book. I published it in its entirety on Facebook this week, and tonight we're going to talk about the 12 signs and why each sign can do what it can do and it can't do what it can't do. But I took it out of the book, and it really could go in there either way, actually. So we're going to start with Aries. We're going to go through the list. Now, remember me, when I talk about Aries, I'm talking about the existential, archetypal center of an Aries. We all have people that are Aries, they got a lot of Leo in them. We got other Aries, they got a lot of Pisces in them. I'm talking about the Aries part, and you very seldom meet somebody that's just one sign. So you might be talking about a Virgo that has 5 planets in Aries. So this discussion will pertain to them a lot. I'm talking about Aries energy. And the problem with basic astrology is we over-identify with our sun sign. Ooh, I'm an Aries. Ooh, see my medal? Ooh, see my tattoo? Ooh. We over-identify with the sun sign. Okay, now how many of you have Aries in your life? Anybody got Aries in your life? Okay. All right, Erica does. All right. When you are in Aries, and the more I had to really study these charts, these signs very, very deeply to grab their essence to write this book. Aries' instinct is to go from here to there because they want to. I want that, boom, go get it. Aries does not understand the complexity of life. They oversimplify everything. Usually, they want that, they go get it. And when you're around an Aries, you say to yourself, oh my God, why do I make things so complicated? Listen how simple it is. But they get in a lot of trouble for it too, and you learn to get out of their way. They're not usually mean at all. They're usually very kind, uplifting. But when you're around them, they make you feel lighter. They make you feel like, oh, if I want to do something, just go do it. One of the things that's so strong about Aries is they know what they want to do. And pretty much the other 11 signs out of 12, you ask them what they want to do, and they'll say, I don't know. I don't know. Because it gets complicated as soon as you leave Aries. Aries is not complicated. They know what they want to do. So if you have an Aries around you, the number one thing you need to do is fight more. Aries like to fight. And I'm not talking about dragging out blood and bruises. I'm talking about they want to argue. They want to get things on the table, get it over with, get it solved, move on. And so many signs, especially Cancer and Pisces and Capricorn, are reticent to fight. If you got something to say it. That's what they want. They get it off their chest. You agree with them that they're right, you move on. Usually how it works. But really, they want you to get it out. They're not cruel. They'll say their point, get it out, get it over, and they forgive you within minutes of any abrasiveness. You cannot expect an Aries to sit down with you. I remember having my closest relative in the greater family growing up. It was an aunt that I had. It was an Aries woman. Very close, like a second mother. But I could not expect her to sit down and be very patient and explain something to me. She wasn't that way. She would tell you what it is and go. That's it. You can't expect an Aries who's all green light to possibly come up with a yellow light and a little bit of red light now and then. They're green light. Green, go. That's it. You can talk to your blue in the face about the problems with it. You can talk about how you see things. It doesn't matter. They are green light. They want to go. You can't win an argument with an Aries brother. Well, it's very difficult to do. Yes, I'm reading what some of the notes are at the bottom of the screen. They want to become, they are enamored with themselves. They are enamored that they're even here. Well, actually, the problem is they're not here, and they think they are, and that's where the whole problem starts. Here comes a cat that I swear to God, he's got 9 planets in Aries. He comes flying through the room. He sees that I have ice in my cup. He wants my ice. So, when you're with an Aries, you cannot expect patience. You cannot expect them to say they're wrong. They're usually very nice people, but because they're the first sign of the zodiac, they always find a way to turn everything around so it looks like it's about them. They just do. It's not a selfishness. It's their perspective. Their perspective is so self-oriented. And I had to work very hard in this book to explain the difference between being selfish and being self-oriented. Self-oriented means you learn according to the things that happen to you. Doesn't it irritate you? You talk about you just had your arm sewn back on, 64-hour operation, they put your arm back on, and somebody wants to tell you about the sniffles they had? You know, like just like one-upmanship. You know, yeah, well, kind of a little bit different. It was my whole arm. Okay, well, Aries has to get into that. And it's not because they're trying to one-up you. It's because, in a way, things aren't real to them unless they put it through their own viewpoint. And I told this story in the book, and this is a true story. In case you haven't read The Exquisite Zodiac, it's for sale on my website. It's also free of charge if you want the PDF version. You can get it on my website, starself.com. I'm going to repeat the story. This is a perfect example of the Aries problem. The mother sends her Cancer daughter with the Aries father to go to the dog pound to get a dog. Aries dad is taking the Cancer daughter to go get a dog. And she's a Cancer, and she goes, and of course, what does she do? She goes to the corner where the wimpiest little, most sorrowful thing that looks like a mop that feels sorry for me and sitting there like this. That's the dog she wants. Because she's a Cancer. She wants to get it home and love it up and scrub it up and nurture her little puppy and warm it up and bring it back to life. But the dad said, no, that's not what you want. I'll tell you what you want. You want a new beagle puppy because he's a hunter. Okay? He's a hunter. So he forces the girl to take a brand new beagle puppy home, and the daughter's mad and sad and crying, and they get home, and the dad can't understand it because he got her a puppy. What's the problem? Oh, you women. But you see the point? The Aries have to work at that. Now, oftentimes, remember, oftentimes sun signs have a lot of planets next door. It's very common that Aries people have a lot of planets in Pisces or in Taurus. It's very common that you have planets bunched around the sun. So the Aries is just doing its thing, and the Aries has to learn that sometimes they have to think of the other. Now, who of you have had people around you that have been Tauruses? Okay, Tauruses. Now, I know that Karen just lost her life partner who was a Taurus. Taurus people are very patient. They don't want to be rushed. They want to live in a very simple world that's nice and plain, and they're very comfortable. Okay, here's my Aquarian cat that wants, oh, he's bugging me now. He's going to start begging me for food because I got the food in. I think he's Aquarian. So the Taurian is just like the Hobbit. He's in the hole. He's got his little furry feet up there in front of the fireplace. Got a cup of tea and a sandwich. Got a pillow. Got the pipe going on. Got the window open to see the flowers out in the garden. They love the garden. What's the problem? They love it. Now, the negative side is definitely leans towards the Archie Bunker archetype. But in their world, they don't realize, compared to the 12 signs, they live in a very small world, comparatively. But in their world, they don't need it any bigger. Leave them alone. They're fine with it. And that's why Tauruses can have dizzy spells, Erica, when Uranus is around like it just was the last few days. I warned you all about the 23rd, 24th, 25th of October, when the sun just had a full moon with Uranus. But Uranus just doesn't get along with Taurus. Taurus is about settling down, sameness, and Uranus is about change, change, change. Well, if you want to kill a Taurus, talk about change too much, and it will do them in. They just can't stand it. They want the same old shoes, the same old ruler, the same old pencil, though you keep using 65 pencil erasers on the same pencil because they want the damn same pencil. That's their pencil. My chair was not here, it was over here. Somebody moved it an inch. But to them, they're all about anchoring. You cannot change what your existential archetypal nature is. It's to be anchored. That's why when they get anchored, you ever go to a Taurus campsite, they got everything in the book, and they got all the shelves up, and they got the clotheslines up, and all the pots ready to cook. And boy, they're just good about getting their spot down. So I can't tell you, and I use this example all the time, I can't tell you how many times I've seen Tauruses with Geminis, and they just yak, 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 and they just fight all the time. And they come in my office, and I tell one of them, shh. And I listen to the Taurus, then I tell him, shh, and I listen to the Gemini. And I say, you see, the Taurus doesn't want to go to the Mardi Gras. The Taurus doesn't want to go to the show tonight with 16 movies showing. They don't want to go downtown because there's a sale for 5 cents. They want to stay home. Okay, Gemini. Mr. Taurus, the Gemini's bored. She needs to do something. She can't just sit around all the time. She needs to change the furniture, change the hair. I'll be coming at nighttime, my Gemini mother. I never knew where the furniture was. I'd have to turn the light on so it'd fall down. My Capricorn dad would start cussing, and she would just change stuff just to change it. So one needs change, one doesn't. Nobody's wrong or right, but when I told them, they were okay with it. But when they told each other, it couldn't work. So if you want somebody to lock things down for you, take care of your garage. You want somebody to take care of your warehouse. Once you go count all your widgets, make sure they're all in a row, everything's in the right drawers, everything is stable, locked down, you give that job to the Taurus. You don't give that to the Gemini because that kill them. It's just too sedentary. So everything comes back to your basic nature. The Aries wants to go, 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 and that's why the next sign of Taurus is about stay, 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 getting anchored, because each sign reacts, and that's what creates the next sign. It morphs into the next sign, which is the heart of that book. The book explains all 12, the exquisite zodiac. So after a while, if you want a Taurus member in your family, and that's why you see so many times Taurus people married to Cancers. It's just all the time. Taurus is married to Cancers. And here we got a January baby alongside, I think she's an Aries. I don't know. We think she's an Aries. Anyhow, we're keeping an eye on our kitties. So, if you're happy that your son-in-law is real stable with your daughter, that's wonderful. If you're mad at your son-in-law because he won't let his daughter take a new opportunity out in Honolulu, well, you got another issue. Him leaving home is a big issue. All right? It's just not their nature. So, remember, other planets come in, other signs come in their chart from many different ways as you're reading. Now, when you look at a Gemini person, their need is to get out of this boring same old, and try everything new. That's new, that's new. Look at this, look at this. That's what they're about. I don't care how satisfied they are. They want to drop it and go over the fence. The next thing must be more interesting. It's more interesting, it's more interesting, it's more interesting. But you're not going to want them to come back and finish their cement job that they started at your house. You're not going to expect them to be thorough and grounded. You look to them to be the reporter. They're the reporter finding out the news, tell somebody about it, move on. That's how the proper use of a Gemini. Oh, I found this out. Can I connect you to this number? Can I connect you here? Oh, this magazine wants to talk to that magazine. Did you hear what happened on the air? What's happening on Fox? What's on CNN? It's just this constant rolling of information, which is why Geminis do well with Sagittarians, and they don't do well with Earth signs. They don't do well with signs that want to be settled and locked down and stable, because it's not their nature. To them, it's boring. And there's no sign in the zodiac that gets more bored than the sign of Gemini. They just get bored because their experience in the here and now is the least of all experiences. There's nobody that experiences here and now more than the sign of Aries. Aries have the wonderful memories because when they're in the here and now, they're in the here and now. And they bump everything to the side to get me out of it. Keep away from me. I'm doing something. I'm into it. Geminis can barely remember where they were a minute ago because they're busy jumping fences. So you can be assured if you want to put somebody on the air, hire Gemini. If you want to put somebody as a reporter, hire Gemini. You want to put somebody greeting people, hire Gemini. Moving company, anything that's moving is transitory. It's in sync with their nature. And if you're expecting them to sit still and be satisfied, you're barking up the wrong tree. And I hate to say it, and I'm sure you know it, but one of the biggest problems with mankind is we sit around and bitch about how our partner isn't this or there isn't that. If I could just get my partner to be this way, I'd be okay. And it just isn't true. So, they just need to stay on the move. I mean, when you really take a long studied look at these signs, The 12 signs are so incredibly different from each other. They're so vastly different. And when you think about it, one of the biggest problems people have is people think that other people are like them. We think that other people think like we do. Marcia and I, both Capricorns, we always sit around, get along, say what we got to say. We hardly ever have had a disagreement. I can't even think of one. We see things the same. Other people don't see the things that I do. I'll talk with Scorpios and they can't understand how somebody else can't love as deeply as them. They're not a Scorpio. You got to understand what their basic buildup is. So you get to the sign of Cancer, number 4. And Cancer is all about becoming very safe and very secure emotionally. They don't care what's on sale downtown. They don't care what the new information is. Am I going to be all right? In one way of speaking, Cancer is the most selfish sign of the zodiac. In a way of speaking, not always true, but it's meant to be. There has to be a sign that's concerned about itself. There has to be. That has to come about. And that comes in the stage of Cancer. Am I all right? When I'm with you, am I going to be all right? What happens if we move to this town? Am I going to be okay here? Who has Cancers in their life? Very sensitive. They oftentimes give off a stern shell of an outer shell that's hard. And on the inside, they're very, very soft. And they're very worried because they're worried about where's my next emotional stroke going to come from? And it's amazing how many times I hear Cancers tell me, who's going to take care of me? Well, you're 69 years old. Well, you're 44. Who's going to take care of you? It's a built-in part. And in this book, Cancers are treated like 11-year-olds. And I'm not talking about maturity. I'm talking about the stamp that's on them, the sense that they have, the youthfulness, the youthful sense they have, like Tom Cruise, like Tom Hanks, like Robin Williams, like Gilda Radner. They're childlike. You can't change that. Even James Cagney. There's a childlike quality to Cancers. And it's also what makes them such good nurturers. They're great mothers. Most of the time, they're great at tending the plants, tending the garden, tending the children. Usually you find them grown up working in occupations that have to do with families and protecting the kids. They're very sensitive to that part of life, and that's their job. But you don't pair them up with a Sagittarius who wants to come home and tell them dirty jokes at the dinner table. You just don't. I mean, you see it now and then, depending on the Cancers, and slap them on the back, let's go have a beer. That's not Cancer's nature. They love being paired up with Tauruses, and they love being paired up with Virgos. The Virgo Cancer is one of the most prominent pairings there is because the Virgos are a little bit lacking in the emotional part, and the Cancers have extra super amounts of emotions. And the Cancers need to be taken care of, and the Virgos love to be protectors and providers. And what happens is eventually it comes down to the Cancer has to become non-dependent, and that's where the trouble comes in. And the Virgo, sooner or later, has to deal with the fact that their heart is closed. See, and that's why codependency always blows up. And I'll repeat it for now here in episode 103, because we're going to run into it here and there. This has been stated many times throughout my videos. Mr. Right or Miss Right is going to come to you, not when the planets are right. Mr. Right and Miss Right is going to come to you when you get rid of the codependencies. That's when they're going to come. When you let go of the baggage, When you let go of the emotional baggage is when the right one just comes in and lands at your airport. And the reason they couldn't land before is because your arms were too full of all your junk. So, cancers, God love them. We have to take care of them. They do need white glove treatment. Look at Nancy Reagan. Look at Lady Di. They gave off this delicate little who's going to take care of me sensitivity. That's just the way they are, thank God. So they don't usually, they're not usually the best date to take to the monster car rally. Do you get me? So out comes the Leo, and the Leo is embarrassed by how sensitive they have become. And just under the surface is still a Cancer, but they don't want to admit it. What's going on, Stuart? Stuart's upset because food is hidden. Leo is about, I'm like a teenager. I'm growing out of that stage. Talk to me more with respect. Leo is all about respect. If there's no respect, forget the relationship. Over. Respect is everything, even when it's not deserved. Even when it's not deserved, you better give them respect or they will cross you out. Who's dealing with Leos around them? Okay. Leo is a tough sign to deal with. It's tough because we see the president has Mars and Leo rising. He's a Gemini, but his Leo is very tough to deal with, which means you think I won't do it? You think, dare me, I'll do it. Dare me, I'll do it. And he will do it. Leo is, I'm a teenager, but don't remind me of it. I'm tougher than you think. And the Leo's very busy kidding themselves. Like the teenager. They're busy kidding themselves. But you call them on it, and you're in trouble. They'll extricate you. So the Leo is not somebody to have around if you want a lot of sensitivity towards you. Leos can be very warm and very giving and very much the hearth of the family. But in a way, like Aries, it's about them. So if you have the right Leo, they can be very giving and very protective, but they're very fiery. Fire signs are usually always right. They're hard to argue with. There comes a Libra force just in time. But if you want them to admit when they're wrong, admit the benefit of being criticized productively, they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. To them, you're putting them down. And they listen to everything they listen to in the world is this person putting me down or not? That's what they listen for. Are they putting me down? Are they showing me respect or not? Who's had difficulty with Leos in the past? Jan, what was the problem?
It was just a friend. She was a best friend, and she turned on me. Just because I called her out on something.
Oh, yeah, you called her out. Right. And she knew it was there, but she was hiding it. She didn't want anybody to see it, let alone say something. So she had to put the X through you. Yeah.
Without even looking back.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, in your case, as sun signs go, the Aquarius is more down the line than the Leo is. I could tell you something constructive, and you'll put it to your mind and think about it, and you'll say, yeah, right, you're right, Rick. You know, and there's no big deal to you. Right. But to Leo, it is, and that's the sad part. Who was the other one? Was that Marcia? Oh, wait a minute. Go ahead, Jan.
She was always the center of attention, and if she couldn't, there was always an issue.
Well, the center of attention is a very dangerous thing because what the center of attention is about is give me kudos and give me strokes so I gain in confidence so I can get out of that Cancer stage. It's so timid. But when they get addicted to it and when they have to have all the attention, then you get what I wrote in that book, a finite universe. There's only so much love. There's only so much money. There's only so much attention. Most problems that take place in the office place are because of the Leo people there. Most problems are because of Leo jealousy. Now, there are two other kinds of problems that happen in the office place. If you got a good Leo, then they're marvelous, just marvelously strong, powerful, good people. But if they're the dark side, then they're always counting. How'd you get that raise? You got a nickel more. How did you get an extra bag of chips? I didn't get a bag of chips. He's you. You know, it's that kind of comparing and nitty stuff going on. In job places, the other kind I find, I learned so much about people through the job place. The other kind of problem employee is the Virgo type, where it's simply they're just too tough on themselves and they're too tough on everybody and nobody can do anything right. The third type, I don't really, if you have a Scorpio problem in the office, it's usually much more between one person and another. It's not really one person versus the group. It's usually a Virgo type problem in the office place or a Leo type problem. Marcia, were you about to say something?
Oh, my younger brother is a Leo.
Oh, Jimmy?
Yes.
I didn't know he was a Leo.
Yeah.
I've talked with him many times and never sensed any problem. I've always found him very easy to talk to. I don't know much about him.
Yeah. Well, he just doesn't listen to someone else.
Okay, well, that's what happens with fixed signs. They can become that way. Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on. We'll move into Virgo. Now, the sixth sign of the zodiac, Virgo. This is the sign you do not go to cry on their shoulder. I repeat, this is the sign that you do not go to. Oh, it's been tough. Oh. You don't go there because they'll smack you. Get back to work. Hello, Melody. Hello, Melody. We're talking about the signs of what they are and what they aren't. The Virgos are about, I'm going to stop whining and crying. When there's a tough problem, I'm going to suck it up and get moving. And when you cannot treat somebody other than how you treat yourself. And if I have to suck it up, you think I'm going to let you go? There's the problem. Nice people, very pure, staying over. Oh, I had to work an hour over. And the Virgos go, so what? I work an hour and a half over every night. So what? Suck it up. Quit complaining. So if you're tough, that's Virgos and Tauruses make good matches. Virgos and Pisces make good matches. Virgos and Cancers make good matches. But it's about emotion. If you're going to need a lot of emotional support, you're with the wrong person, unless they got something else in their chart. And if you are tough and you don't need all that kind of support, then the Virgos can do okay. Now, when you switch to Libra, it's a very different situation because Libra is so social. Virgos don't care how you're doing at the golf club. They don't care whether you're in the local glamour magazine in your city. They don't want to be as far from the camera as possible. The Libra wants to be with the camera, and the Libra wants to be nice and stylish. And, okay, Karen, that's okay. You take care, and we'll see you later. We'll see you next week. All right. So the Libras are very, very social. And to be socially accepted is everything. And if you don't care whether you're socially accepted or not, I mean, I dated a Libra woman for a while, and I went down the street with a green, it was rainy, and I went down the street with a green golf umbrella. She wanted to walk on the other side of the street. I liked it because this big umbrella kept me dry. Well, she didn't like it because it wasn't stylish. And that was the last thing I'm thinking of, whether it was stylish. you know? So you cannot expect them to be different. Style and appearance, how they look, how much time they take getting ready is a big deal to Libras. I know with Linda here, Linda is a Libra, but Linda is not a typical Libra because she has Scorpio so strong in her chart. She's more of a blend of Libra, Scorpio. Libra people, it's very important. And you look around, it's amazing. They're almost always married to somebody good looking. They're always married to somebody that's very successful. And they're always in a nice professional position. They take their life seriously. They take their studies seriously. They're the smartest sign of the zodiac, without a doubt. By the way, next week, November 1st, Gina had to back out. She had confusion with her schedule. Next week, to all of you listening on YouTube, will be our discussion about Eris and the change going about with the rise of the feminine and out with the patriarch, thank goodness. And two of our speakers next week will be Linda Jordan, who is listed here as Jordan 1. And she's a professor of English at La Roche College in Pittsburgh, and Melody Winery out in California. And we've been teachers, students, and friends for several years since she moved from Columbus to California. Our third person is Alicia Franzak, who I've worked with for many years. She does all kind of things New Agey. I met her originally when she did a lot of chair massage, but she's really, really up on this Eris thing and the new planet that is suggesting that women are fed up and they're moving forward. And just you three next week is going to be plenty. By the way, on Facebook today, I published an article, and I got the permission by the lady, I forget her first name, at Dark Star Astrology. She wrote a wonderful article about Eris, and she followed up with a new one about Ceres. So I'll be sharing that one too. So if you want to know a lot more about Eris, go to my page on Facebook, and it's one of the last things I posted. I think her name is Marina. She is Sicilian British, half Sicilian, half British. Extremely bright, especially in terms of mythology. So I really recommend her writings. You can go right to her website at darkstarastrology.com. So those three women will be my guests. It'll be the third time that I've had shows just on the rise of the divine feminine, because we've got to get the men out. Put the men out on the fishing boat, out on the golf course, get them some duct tape, and let the women take over. Out. I'm very outspoken. You know why? Because my third house, I have Jupiter in Aries. My third house, I have Jupiter in Aries at the same degree as Eris. You think that might be why? I hope so. In Marcia, that means you do too, but it wouldn't be in your third house. Marcia and I are born 2 days apart. Okay, so the Libra people are wonderful people, but don't come in and don't go take a Libra woman out and you're all dirty and your nails are dirty. I mean, you got to clean up a little. They're very sensitive to how they look. They like to hang out with people who are bright. So you're going to need to know some amount of English grammar. And, you know, they're usually not the person to take camping. They're usually the one to take to the nice hotel or to the opera or whatever. They're very cultured. Okay, now when you move on to Scorpio, and I'm going to leave a lot of time at the end of the show so you can chip in and make your opinions. Erica, what does glamping mean? You're glamping for a Libra. Glamping. Go ahead, Melody. What you got to say?
I love glamping. I didn't read the comment yet.
What is glamping?
Glamping is high-end tents the glamping I went to,
Oh my God, it's actually a word.
had a king size bed in a
Oh.
Bedouin style tent.
In West Virginia, we call it wusses.
That's right. That's right. Do you know what? I wouldn't trade it for anything else.
Well, my girl just got back. My girl just got back from her 4th year in a row doing what are they called?
6 years yurt.
6 years of yurting. Yurting.
Oh, wow.
Wooden floor, and they got the AC. Not AC, but they got the fridge and all. Anyhow, let me get back to the subject. Yurt. Oh boy, I tell you. All right, Scorpio's on the docket here. Okay, if you can't stand intense emotions, get out. If you're wishy-washy with your feelings, get out. Scorpios have no respect for people who are wishy-washy. They have no respect for people who have no courage. They like people that are dedicated. That's why they love Virgos. Virgos may have tough times with emotions, but they're very pure. They're very strong to their convictions. They don't lie. They're trustworthy. They're pure. Those are things that Scorpios love. You cannot get them to stop being intense. They're just intense. You can't stop them from looking through you because they're going to look through you because Pluto's looking through them as they're looking through you. Pluto is the planet that looks through us looking for imperfections. That's how we get a pure diamond. That's the beauty of Scorpio. Now, here's the one test between a good Scorpio and a bad Scorpio. And a lot of the good Scorpios get a bad rap because of the bad Scorpios. And the test is very simple. When you're with the Scorpio and you are leaving, or the evening is over, do you feel depleted or do you feel energized? And if you feel depleted, keep walking towards the sun sign, towards the sun. Get out, because they're sucking from you psychically. They're going to suck off of you when they're done, till they're done. When you're with a wonderful one, they're strong, they're passionate, they have great beliefs, and it's all based upon one thing. It's based upon whether they have self-hatred or not. If they have self-compassion, then they're really powerful people, and they're just wonderful to be with because they're really pure and they really care and they go way beyond the extra mile. They're really tough, but it comes down to one question. Do you feel that they're with you in the room and they're exchanging with you in a healthy way, or do you think they're spying on you, looking at what they can start sucking? And if it's that, then get out. Yeah, Erica, I understand that. I remember one time a Scorpio woman broke up. And I said to him, well, you're broken up now. What's the difference? He said, I'm not done with her. Okay. So in his mind, she belonged to him. That was it. You know the Scorpios across the zodiac from the other possessive sign, Taurus. Okay, so you got to be careful. Good ones and bad ones are vastly different. But anyhow, they can really be wonderful and really emotionally strong, but they love something, they love it. They hate something, they hate it. Jan, you got a lot of Scorpio traits in your chart, but you have enough other counterbalances in your chart. I don't think it's problematic. You have the Scorpio, and it makes you very strong. But you have a good balance throughout your chart, I think. Okay, moving into Sag. Sag are the fun-loving people. They're fun-loving. And one of their things is they're constantly, like the president, who has a moon in Sag, they're constantly jabbing at you, digging at you, and they're constantly prodding you, and they keep saying, I didn't mean anything by it. But the fact is they did. They did mean it. Yes, they did. They get away with all kind of stuff. They get away with stuff. They're a lot of fun. Their motto is, if it ain't fun, I'm not going to do it. So if you're any bit of a drag, stay away. Sagittarius can't stand downers. They can't stand it. They can't stand being locked up. They can't stand downers, people that are morose, melancholic. They like people that are fun-loving. I did, now this is not scientific, but I did a survey once. What do you think the two favorite signs? I would say very general, but I put a lot of people in this survey. What do you think the two signs are that are the most favorite to all people?
Libra.
Jan?
Sag and Libra?
Sag and Libra. Okay, anybody else? There he is. He just started to take a walk by my ice cubes. I'll look back, he'll be in there going like this with his paw. Huh, you're too slick for me. Huh? Oh, he's trying to figure out the new dynamic. Sag and Libra. The answer is Gemini and Libra.
Wow.
The most popular signs are, now don't take my pen. Gemini and Libra. It's because they're very talkative and they're very friendly and they're very social. Now, you may not feel that way for long-term friends. I don't know. But I hate to say, guess what the two signs were their least favorite signs?
Aries and
He's
Virgo.
watching my ice. He wants my ice.
Aries and Virgo?
What's that?
Aries and Virgo?
Not a bad guess.
Wait,
Oh,
wait.
Eric has said Capricorn. That's one of them.
Scorpio.
Oh, that's a good guess, too. The two signs that surprised me, the two signs that were their least favorite were Cancers and Cap. Would you please get him? He's going to get on my keyboard. Here. Get down.
Cancer and Capricorn.
Cancer and Capricorn. And it's understandable. Cancer and Capricorn are both kind of quiet. You got to get to know them. They're not extroverted. They're not upbeat usually, unless the moon is somewhere. But the Geminis and Libras they're just naturally social. Okay, so now that I'm keeping his food from me, he's going to go beat his sister up. I know that's what he's going to do. Let's go on.
My cats do the same thing.
Yeah, I watch all those nature shows where the female gets the brunt of the male and the male's mad. Go hunting for me. Shut up and go hunting. Okay. Now, so Sag is a fun-loving sign. It's fiery. It likes to do things. So it's not usually matched well with Taurus. It's not usually matched well with Capricorn. So we move on to a Capricorn sign. Capricorn is a very steady sign. It takes understanding. They're often misunderstood. They're very dependable. They're usually not real bouncy and fiery and like to do things. They're more sedentary. They like their patterns, just like Taurus does. But a lot of times Capricorns have a bad rap, and you need to give them another chance. Oftentimes Capricorns have very dry humor, but they put their job and their responsibility first. So if you think you're going to come first between their job and responsibility, you may want to think that again, because they're just not that way. Now, if you want somebody to run your business for you, you want somebody that's going to keep a secret, guess who the best secret keepers are?
Capricorn.
Capricorn and Scorpio. Hey Linda, guess who the worst secret keepers are?
I'm pretty sure Libra.
Libra and
Sag.
Sag.
Gemini. Don't ever tell a Gemini anything. Geminis can't keep a secret before they cross the street.
See, I think that Scorpio is really strong. I'm like a vault. You can get nothing out of me.
That's your Scorpio, yeah. That's not your Libra.
I don't.
When you're talking to a Libra, you're talking on a megaphone. Just remember that. They love having fodder to use socially. Okay?
I have no patience for that. So.
Well, no, with your Scorpio. And with me, you'll never get a secret out of me. Okay, Aquarius. Aquarius is a very unusual sign because they're the sign of the opposites. They're cold, but they're warm. They're friendly, but they're distant. They're conservative, but they're liberal. They're upbeat, but they're kind of old-fashioned. They're just a lot of different things. They're so big. They're usually very friendly, very loyal. But usually if you want somebody to come and stay with you forever, it's not going to be them, usually. Because once the relating stops, they're gone. I got up in the morning one day, I was dating an Aquarian woman years ago, and she was gone. She left me a note. She was off for New Orleans. I thought we're getting along fine. She didn't say goodbye. She left me a little note. She was gone. I found it kind of shocking. Aquarians love their freedom. They're like Sag. They're like Aries. They love their freedom. They love the freedom that life gives you. They're not dependent like you see with Cancer or with Capricorn, or you can see it with Libra, or you can see it with Taurus, who become more married to the unity of the coupling. Oh my God, is she dedicated? What are you making, mashed potatoes? I'm trying to unmute you.
Okay. I'm making cheesy rice and steak fajitas.
Oh man, but you're 3,000 miles away.
I know.
Oh.
It's not all that. I'm cheating.
That's okay. It's all right. Let's get through this list now. So Aquarians are wonderful, wonderful people, but they're not good with you slapping your expectations on them. They're not going to live by your expectations. They live with their own drummer, and they can't stop it, and that's the way they is. Okay, the final sign, probably the hardest one to figure out of all, the Pisces. Hard sign to figure out. There can be so many types of Pisces too. Usually their heart is gold, they're very passive, let things slide. You never know what they're going to do. They're very unpredictable. You never know what they're going to drag home. They got such a big heart, and they do not differentiate. They might bring in a injured frog. They might bring in an injured cat. They might bring in an injured person. You never know, but usually it's somebody injured because their heart is so big and they see right through, oh, somebody just needs to give them a break. Why doesn't somebody give them a break? So if you're a little bit tolerant, you do well with a Pisces, but you have to give them a lot of space and a lot of leeway. But if you're anyway rigid, like, why didn't these things get done? Why aren't these things happening? Then you got the wrong person. So those are the basic ups and downs of the signs. They are what they are, and they are not what they're not. So I'm going to stop the recording for now, and we'll do a little personal chit-chat, and this will go up on YouTube tomorrow. See you, YouTubers, and thanks for joining us.